Okay, the role of English, the necessity of learning English in the modern world, cliche after cliche. True or false? That's an interesting question. It is undeniably true. No matter in what field, unless one limits oneself to, say, Korean studies, or just I can't imagine which field of study might exclude English. We see that doctors must know English, and doctors who are ambitious and want to get ahead will attend conferences abroad, and everything will be held in English, and every speech will be made in English. That's just a typical, though minor, example of how these things work. Medicine is an obvious case, but I have proofread articles for doctors that they submit for publication. Why me? Because, of course, they submit them in English. Why? So that more people will read them. It just goes on and on. Now, most doctors do not know English well. Most Korean doctors do not. I know this. But they want to improve, and really they have to improve. Now, this leads to the second stage. If a person really wants to improve his or her English, probably the best thing he or she can do is go abroad, go to the States for some period of time, a year, go to school there, if possible. And I know this is a sore point for let's say, liberal leftist Koreans, because this puts the entire matter, makes the entire matter decided by money. But money has a lot to do with education anyway. There's no doubt about that. Resources, courses, hagwons, money and education are connected. Everyone knows that, and one question is, should they be? But of course they have to be. In a free market society, in a capitalistic society, where the government does not take care of people, and where the government does not determine who can do what, people have at least that degree of freedom. Of course, if one has money, one buys what one wants, one does what one wants with that money. But this is irritating to some people, of course. And when Korean TV shows show large numbers of Korean kids, young people, wasting money abroad, as happened a few years ago, I remember, that really galvanized public opinion, turned it against this phenomenon. Now, I could talk about this for a long time, and most of what I would say you know well. Our topic is the learning of English a good or a bad thing? It could be argued that it's not a good thing, but economically there's no question it's a good thing. Economically, so if economics is important, if economics is the priority, then of course learning English is absolutely essential, and there's no way around it. When I look at the English language, the quality of the English language, I have serious questions. I don't have any questions at all. I don't think it's a very good thing. The language that people learn is American English. American English is not a sensitive, delicate tool. And American English is not really, I think, probably a very good language. It's overloaded with our sloppy, shabby idioms, as you call them, though I wonder sometimes what you think idioms are, but idioms are ungrammatical expressions that acquire validity over time. Now, language changes, but the number of expressions a language has which are ungrammatical might be a reflection of something bad. Sloppy thinking, ignorance of grammar, indifference to grammar, indifference maybe to language itself. So that's my objection to this universalization of English, but it's unstoppable. and it's unstoppable and will never stop, as far as I can see, barring some major, some inconceivable interstellar disaster, because of economics. Okay, students then must learn English, go abroad if they can, study abroad. An interesting side note to that, I have seen it often. There's a kind of paradox that interests me, at least. And the paradox is that one can learn better English in Korea than one learns in the United States. Paradox. Interesting. Why is this? Well, like all paradoxes, this one has a kind of explanation. The explanation lies in this. If one goes to the United States, goes to a public school in the United States, a not very good public school, especially, but public school anyway, one will only learn the level of English that is spoken at that institution. Or more generally, one will only learn English to the degree that, and with the quality of English, to the degree, and to that degree of quality, sorry, I'm caught on my words, that the people with whom one mingles know English. And if those people do not speak English well, if they speak ungrammatically or use exclusively slang, and have small vocabularies and discuss silly, insignificant topics, then that person will return to Korea with very poor English. And that person would have learned better English by staying here. Not so fluent, perhaps, but better. If, however, one goes to one of the good schools, now those kids too use English not very well, but the odds are better that they will use English properly, and even discuss some important topics. And the teachers are so assiduous, so active in forcing the kids to discuss and write about topics that those students will learn English well. The only question for them is how quickly will they forget it when they return to Korea and immerse themselves again in Korean society. That's their danger. So that paradox is interesting. I use it kind of as an advertising tool, though I don't advertise. But if I were to advertise, I would say that a student who came to my home or spent, say, 5 hours a week with me, which would be a little costly, would learn better English than the student who went to a public school in Georgia. My home is in Georgia. I'm not from Georgia. I think that's probably true. It would cost less, too, I guess, unless one could stay for free somewhere in Georgia. Again, it's that person, the person who came here for 5, maybe 6 hours, let's go, would learn better English than that person who went to a public school, say, in Georgia. But if I could advertise that point, I would. Anyway, the learning of English, whether here or abroad, the reasons why. Second reason why. I'm going to append, A-P-P-E-N-D, that is, attach a kind of footnote to this topic, not unrelated. I'm reading the words here, Korea's drive to become one of the advanced countries. That drive is certainly large among its leaders, among the educated classes, and that's the topic we've been talking about now. In fact, these two topics, Korea being wired and Koreans' aggressive pursuit of English. Now, economic reasons, yes. But that image of Koreans are understandably concerned about their image in the world. Korea does not want to be regarded as some third world country, and I don't think anyone regards Korea as such. But Koreans are understandably concerned about their image, and this has economic ramifications too. People who are looking for business deals Koreans want those people to think Korean, to think at least of LG and Samsung or Hyundai and look around. Economics. But a second element of this is the image that Koreans want to have. And I'm glad of this. They don't want to be regarded as mutilators, memers of the English language. The difficulties for Koreans to learn English are huge because of the differences between the two languages. Just huge. Insuperable, I think. But Koreans do pretty well. Now, related to this image topic, I had a conversation with a sharp student the other day, thoughtful, reflective, and we were talking about the drive toward coeducation in Korean schools. This process is now a fait accompli, I guess, in Seoul, and maybe many, maybe even most other places in Korea. Fait accompli, French, in American slang, a done deal. In other words, it's a fact. It's already happened. In Daegu, of course, it hasn't already happened. It is happening, pretty slowly, I would say. Korean conservative Gyeongsangbuk-do people resisting it. And I think maybe their instincts are not wrong. Because what in the end are the benefits, what are the reasons for coeducation? Gender equality of education, that is, but that just means getting the same education. And certainly girls at good girls' schools received educations equal to those of the boys, or almost equal anyway. Socialization. This is a sticky one. So that boys and girls learn how to talk to each other, become less tongue-tied and shy and so forth. And by the way, as a footnote to that, become more sexual, more sexually active. That's a guaranteed concomitant, I would say. And that will lead to teenage pregnancies and things like that. But I'm not using that as a shock argument, as most people would, because the number of teen pregnancies is never going to be large. It's a little shocking in the United States, but it's still not huge. I mean, it's rare when it happens, even in the United States schools. Is this a major factor in life? I don't think so. Sexually active, even that's not a major thing, I think, in the big picture. Okay, then 1, 2. Why then this drive toward coeducation? And I would submit the idea that it's image. Korean government and thinking educated Korean people are concerned about Korea's image. And this separate school syndrome seems to belong to the old world, the old ways, the Yugyo mentality, and Yugyo's equivalent abroad. And of course there were equivalents abroad. And so I find that striking. The main reason why Koreans are making their schools coeducational is that they want to avoid any stigma, any hint of being kind of backward, third world, strange little people running around with wearing hanboks and those hats and all that. They want to strip that as quickly as possible. I would love to hear a reply from someone on that, to that idea, that that's the main reason why Korea is turning coeducational. Anyway, thank you.